This video should help you with gas pressure. There's a lot of ways you can measure gas pressure. One of them is kPa, which stands for kilopascals. One of them is ATM, which stands for atmospheres. Another one is mmHg. Okay, mmHg. This stands for millimeters of mercury. And actually, there's an interesting story to that one. It's the first barometer was actually just a tube, and it was closed on one end, had mercury in it. And as the air pressure pushed down on one end, it would force the mercury to go up the other. And they would actually just measure, using a ruler, how far off the table the mercury was in millimeters. So that's where mmHg comes from. Not that you need to know that, just a little freebie there. So anyway, if we go back to our standard pressure, sorry, everything's so sloppy. I don't have my my normal stylus at home with me. I didn't bring it home from school. I didn't realize I was there, but anyway, everything's kind of a little messy with this one. So anyway, standard pressure, remember, was 1 atmosphere. Okay, so that's 1. Now, if I tell you the other standard pressures, like in mmHg and kPa, then they'll all be, they'll all be equal to each other. So this one is 101.325 kilopascals. And millimeters of mercury is 760 millimeters of mercury. So that means 1 atmosphere equals 760 mmHg. But it also equals, and both of those equal, 101.325. Which means if we're doing a conversion, any of those can be used as our conversion factor. So what you're going to work on today is what we call the pressure maze, which you're going to convert units in pressures and temperatures, and then you're going to move around the maze and figure out what order the maze goes in. Now, before we do that, let's go back to that standard temperature we talked about. So standard temperature is 0 degrees Celsius. But the thing is, anytime you're talking about gases and their pressure related to their temperature or their volume related to your temperature, you cannot be in Celsius. It just doesn't work. Like, it doesn't give you the right answer. So you have to be in kelvins. This one doesn't have a degrees, it's just called kelvins. Kelvins is equal to degrees Celsius plus 273. So it's an easy conversion. So standard temperature in kelvins then would be 0 plus 273, so 273 kelvins. So just be aware of that. You'll do that a lot in this unit. Okay, now going back to an example of a pressure problem. This is number 1 on the pressure maze, and what you do is you solve it, and then you find the right answer along the path, and wherever it takes you to, you put a 2 in the next box. So let's go ahead and solve this and see where it takes us. We have 851.2 millimeters of mercury, and you need to solve these using factor label. The nice part is you can always turn them into one-step problems. And we're trying to get to kPa. So what label goes on the bottom? mmHg. What label goes on the top? K, which is supposed to be lowercase, but I'm not good at making it that way. PA. Now, if we go back to the other page, and look at the standards for those, that's what we can fill into this conversion factor. So if I go back here, KPA's is 101.325 and MMHG's is 760. So let's go back and fill those in. KPA 101.325. And I don't know why my pen is writing so dark on this page. 760. Okay, then multiply the tops, multiply the bottoms, divide top by bottom, and then the only number we have to go by is the 851.2 because everything else is considered a perfect number. So we need 4 significant digits. So that should take us to 113.5 kPa. So if you look at your pressure maze, we did number 1, and the 113.5 is going this way. So put a number 2 in this box, solve it, and follow the path. The pathway is answered on the back of the maze, on the back page, or on the next page, or whatever. There should be a place to solve them. So I would have put this where number 1 was, and then number 2 was 140 kPa, and I'm going to figure out how many torrs that is. And that's something else I didn't mention, but torrs is just the old word for, actually there's no S, so torr is the old word for MMHG. So that's the same thing. It's just an old, different way of saying it. Okay, so do the pressure maze and see what you get. Compare it to the path that I left on Canvas.